As far as I'm concerned, music is music. I don't look at it as rock, R&B, all that kind of stuff. I just look at it as music, you know. But I feel sorry for anybody who only listens to one form of music.
Unsigned, you're listening to the Freeza Block Show. Local, MileHighUnderground.com. Unsigned, local artists, unsigned artists. Music you may have never heard before. Music you'll want to hear again. All right here on the Freeza Block Show.
Welcome in. It is the Freeza Block Show, MileHighUnderground.com. So very happy to have everybody listening in and alongside. We're super stoked. Today we have Reason the Citizen in the studio, man. And we are about to chop it up and let everybody know who he is, what he's all about, and what kind of music that he plays, man. Good stuff. Thank you so much for coming on in, man.
Yeah, man.
I usually have an applause, but my applause button is gone.
So it's all good.
So there we go. There we go, man. It's Reason the Citizen.
Yes.
And for the folks who don't know that are listening for the first time, let the folks know what kind of music it is that you play or that you do and what you do. And
yeah. So my name is Reason the Citizen, and I am an independent hip hop artist.
And that's it. See you guys later.
Pretty much it. Yeah. All right. Thanks for having me.
Indeed. And you've been actually in the game for quite a long time, man.
Yeah.
For some folks will probably actually know who you are that are, in the game here in town and stuff like that.
Few.
And I discovered you last year come to the party late, talk about that. But I saw you at the Levitt Pavilion, man, and I was overwhelmed, man. I was really impressed. I liked the way you spit. I liked your demeanor.
Thank you.
I like what you were talking about. It wasn't, you're a little bit more of what we call a conscious artist.
Definitely. Yeah.
And I really like the fact that you use your medium to kind of put the point across, man.
Word, thank you.
Tell the kind of people. Tell the people what kind of point or what kind of views that you might be pushing across in some of your.
Most of my music I draw from my personal life and my personal experiences. So a lot of what I write about is just inspired by, my daily life, work, creating music, traveling, the balance between, family life and being an artist. That's kind of my main focus. I try and give everybody me in my music, because if I'm not giving you me, then what am I giving you?
Right.
So it's super important that every song, every album, everything that I put out is a real direct reflection of who I am. I try to keep it personal, and I hope that while I'm doing it, that other people can relate to it. And in the 17 years that I've been making music, I feel like I've definitely achieved that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I really like the fact that, again, you use your medium to put across your message.
Right.
What is it that made you kind of get into it, or did you have like something, I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you had something to say, you had to get it out, and why did you pick, I guess, this genre of music?
Well, I think, it goes a little bit deeper than music in the beginning too. I've always kind of had an interest in just entertainment in general. From a real young age, I wanted to get on stage. I wanted to talk into a microphone. And when I was in high school, I was on the speech and debate team.
Okay.
And I did kind of like comedy acting type events. I competed, and I did pretty well. And that was kind of my introduction for me being in front of people and performing. And on the speech team, one of the other guys that was on the speech team, he was a rapper, and I had never met another rapper or seen anybody rap in person or anything like that. I'd always loved hip hop.
Right.
I grew up in Southern California in the 90s, so like, that West Coast gangster rap stuff, even when I was a young kid, it resonated with me. I was born in LA. I lived in Long Beach for, the first 5 years of my life. So I was hearing a lot of these artists who were talking about areas and cities that I knew and that I lived in. And so I always had an interest in hip hop. And then when I had met this other kid who was a rapper, I was just kind of blown away.
Right.
And we both had the same musical interests, so we kind of clicked. And eventually at some point he was hearing me recite rap lyrics from some of my favorite songs, and he was like, "Man, you should spit, man. You should do this." Yeah. And so I already had an interest in being on stage and being a live performer anyway. So I started out when I was 16. And I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, and you kind of grew up around in the Mecca and in the area, so you were able to get a hold of, or at least catch the ear of people that were in the industry or a little bit more, I guess, into it, I guess, and you could hear. So all good stuff. We have Reason the Citizen in the studio.
Yes, sir.
And he brought a couple of tracks along too, so we can kind of let you know what's going on. We've gone 5 minutes without playing anything.
Cool.
So yeah, man, we might have actually a viewer or two listening in, so they want to hear. So you brought me something there. So would it be off the tracks?
It'll be in the track. Yeah, in the tracks folder.
All right, you got One Human and you got Broken Bones.
Yeah, let's do One Human.
All right.
This is the song that I open up my set with. So if you've ever seen me live, you might recognize the song.
Yeah, and real quick, go ahead and promote that album, the EP, and all that stuff.
Yeah. My most recent album, which I released at the end of 2016, is called "Finding Success Through Failure." Personally, to me, it's my best work. I know some of my older fans will say my older stuff is the best stuff.
Well, we'll talk about your progression as we go on, man.
Yeah.
Indeed, because there's a lot to cover. So indeed, we have Reason the Citizen in the studio. Here's what he's bringing you right here on MileHighUnderground.com, the Freeza Block Show.
Yeah, now I ain't hoe, but I hold my own, and I'm only one human. I'm in control, but I'm overloaded, feeling dumb, stupid. I know my soul, and it won't be sold for no price. No diamonds, no gold, no gambling, I ain't rolling no dice. I'm precise in my life, in a nutshell, isn't that tight? But I work with what I got, humble as how I sleep at night. See, I ain't racing for the paper, I'm pacing for the respect. Chasing what I believe in while you stay chasing that paycheck. Beats bang and they break necks. Mission Ollie, impossible. Chief Chang and I drank, yes. And I mean to rub it in like a topical. I could easily overcome any obstacle. I could reap in the benefits of a tropical environment. Call a fireman for the flame I lit. Cause at the moment I'm feeling unstoppable. Living up on a hill with the capital. While the rhythm I'm killing is so admirable. Built buzz but did it with no capital. Now veterans saluting me like an admiral. I'm beautiful but you know what I'm tactical. Nothing is impossible, I'm impassable. Disaster mode, you can say I smashed the mold. And got them looking to be crooked like a bad result. Now let's go. One thought for the open-minded, lost my soul, but I hope I find it. One shot for the hopeless, blinded by the favor in it, blood and signed it. One thought for the open-minded, lost my soul, but I hope I find it. One shot for the hopeless, blinded by the favor in it, blood. Yeah, you cannot get the soul back. Don't touch it if it's hot, you should know that. In particular, when I follow my heart, it's better hella bizarre. I'm making my own roadmap. I was low, I pick it up like a Prozac. Sold Rose, pairing up for the phone tap. Now I'm grown, I'm doing it on my own. Creatively coming up with a method, taking a throwback. Every syllable written, you can't approach that. When listening, you get addicted like a dope sack. So take a hit and get up in it with Rick. I'm getting definitive, vindicating. I ain't ready to hold back. And when I kill it, you feel it, think of my old tracks. Hell, I'm really a villain, fill up the cognac. You know my venomous sentiments with incredible rhetoric. And my gentleman etiquette, put a whip for the record. Now let's go. One thought for the open-minded, lost my soul, but I hope I find it. One shot for the hopeless, blinded by the favor in it, blood and signed it. One thought for the open-minded, lost my soul, but I hope I find it. One shot for the hopeless, blinded by the favor in it, blood and signed it. Go! One thought for the open-minded, lost my find it. One shot for the hopeless, blinded by the fame written in blood and signed it. One thought for the open-minded, lost my soul, but I hope I find it. One shot for the hopeless, blinded by the fame written in blood. Yeah, no time for myself with a statement. Young Tony Bourdain, no reservations. Search for my soul, but it's vacant. Promise that I got it in control, no replacement. Roof made stable with a hole in the basement. Stitched in a track house, posed as a vagrant. Fully clothed, but it's cold for the naked. Pacing, trying to stay warm and complacent. Brain in a storm and it's torn like his patience. Painfully sworn to the sword and his greatness. Feeling worn in his frame, couldn't take it. Traced it, figured out the fame isn't sacred. Leader not a stray, see this leader is a patron. See the blood stains on his sleeves and his apron. Mediator for the simulated placement. Speed of light travel with my shadow and adjacent. Go! For the open-minded, lost my soul, but I hope I find it. One shot for the hopeless, blinded by the fame written in blood and signed it. One thought for the open-minded, lost my soul, but I hope I find it. One shot for the hopeless, blinded by the fame written in blood.
All right, man. We got to give it our own homemade applause, but good stuff. That song was One Human, Reason the Citizen, and he's joining us right here on the Freeza Block Show here on the MileHighUnderground.com. Really like those lyrics. Those what you're talking about is really deep, man.
Thank you.
You know, and from my perspective, I'm seeing it as one human is, you know, what can we do against this mass machine, man? What could one person do to change things that we know that are inherently wrong with our society? You know? I mean, we can't. You know, we I guess to say, well, we live in our own prisons, man. We're, you know, we're imprisoned by our luxury, by our wealth.
Absolutely.
And we see other people, you know, suffering that don't have that. And, you know, there's so much, it's so imbalanced. I guess it's to where, I mean, you know, tell me a little bit about, you know.
Yeah. So, I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head right there. I mean, I think One Human, to me, is about owning one's individuality and making it, you know, making it powerful, because there are a lot of people here, but, you know, really the power of one individual can be a lot bigger than the power of the masses. You know, it just really depends on how you break it down. So for me, I've always felt as a solo independent hip hop artist that me personally, all I am is one human. So I can only give you me, and that's it, you know? So for me, that track, and that's why I open my set with it, because, you know, when I play live, it's just me up there. So really, it's kind of like it's symbolic of what I do and how I do it, and kind of the bigger picture of just being one human in this planet.
Well, I love music that makes you stop and think, man. That's
Definitely.
You know, that's the thing that I really appreciate, man. It makes you go back and listen to it again, and then realize or kind of think about what your own perspective is on life, and how, you know, like, you know, we sit there and we chase paper all the time, and that's what we do. And that's what I'm talking about by being in a prison of luxury.
Yep.
You know, is that we're constantly, you know, bickering over or thinking to ourselves, gee, I'm not good enough. My car's not as nice enough as my neighbor's car. And, you know, and everybody's just indebting themselves because we can't just go out. It's not like people have thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. They can go in and just throw cash down and buy a brand new car. Everybody's got to make payments. They make payments on their phone. They make payments on their house. They make payments on, you know, on everything. Nobody's ever really in the clear. There's a small percentage, and that whole time we're spending chasing that dollar bill. You know, breaking our own dreams. Some of us can fulfill our dreams by doing that, but a lot of times it's we have to abandon our dreams of what we want to do in our real lives to you know, fulfill ourselves. And it's all for the benefit of that paper.
It is, man.
All right, man. We have Reason the Citizen on the show, and I'm going to answer all his questions for him. No doubt about it. No, and let's talk a little bit about the music that you have behind it, man. Is it all developed by you, or do you have somebody that helps you out with all that? Because that music is kick ass.
I do make some of my beats, although it's not really my forte. You know, I have a handful of producers that I work with. That one is actually produced by an individual named Satire, who's from here in Denver. I met him.
Shouts out to Satire.
Yeah.
Hey, and for those folks who are Reason the Citizens fans that are listening to the Freeza Block for the first time, that bell, go ahead and break it out, folks. The bell is for a hit or a shot. It doesn't necessarily have to be weed or alcohol, but just a little something to get you through.
I like
and
that.
when we make a really, really good point. That's right, indeed. You owe us 3, so break it on out. We're having a good time. It is Reason the Citizen in the studio, man.
Yes,
so,
sir.
And again, we were talking about what were we talking about? I forgot.
We're talking about rap music and money, and
that's right,
and,
money
and being one dude.
How about we were talking actually about the music that you make.
That
makes the guys, the producers and stuff. Did
Yes.
they come up with you with with beats and with kind of tracks that are already produced and stuff, or do you kind of go back? How does that process work?
For the most part, for me, normally, if I sit down with a producer in person, he'll play just a whole bunch of beats that he has, and we'll kind of just figure out what clicks and what doesn't, and move forward from there. A lot of the stuff too, a lot of the producers that I work with, they put stuff online, and I do a lot of digging online for good production.
Yeah.
And so if I find something that clicks, what I'll do is I'll just write a song to it, and I'll record it, and then I'll just send it back to the producer and say, hey, this is what I got. What do you think? And sometimes it works. Sometimes that doesn't work necessarily.
Right.
It depends on who I'm working with. People that know me, it's easier. Sometimes I do it to a producer that has no idea who I am, and it,
right. And
it
could you
works or it
please
doesn't,
take the watermark off? I don't want to hear beats.com.
Oh man, I won't do that. I did that on a mixtape in 2009. Never again. Yeah.
That's the worst, isn't it? That's absolutely
Yep.
the worst. But but you look out, you search, and you view, and you try to, and you listen to lots and lots and lots of music and all that good stuff.
Have to.
And it's tell me about a couple of the favorites that you have for production, guys that can produce beats for you that you really prefer.
So a good portion of my last album, Finding Success Through Failure, was produced by an individual named Handbook out of the UK. He is pretty well known on the internet. Yeah, Handbook is a beast, man. He's mostly a sample-based producer. He does a lot of like really soulful, almost R&B type stuff, but then he does a lot of like really just straightforward hip hop stuff too. And that's some of the production that I was fortunate enough to get from him. He is probably one of my go-tos right now. I'm actually also working on a project with my DJ Almighty IZ, and he's doing all the production on that. And we have a little side project too with one of my homies, Wayne Watts. So it's me, Wayne Watts, and IZ.
IZ.
Yeah, Almighty IZ. And so that's probably what we're going to start releasing here pretty soon. We have a whole bunch of tracks that we've just been kind of mixing and mastering, going through the final process. But yeah, those are pretty much my favorite people to work with right there. Right
on. It is Reason the Citizen in the studio. He's a hip hop artist. He's been at it since about 2001. He's been in the game for quite a bit, man. And you've worked with some big name artists, as a matter of fact. I mean,
I've definitely played with some people who are personal heroes of mine. That's for sure.
Yeah. What does that feel like, man? When you see them and you get to see that they're like real human beings.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's validation in a lot of ways. It's me going, okay, these are people I looked up to when I started doing this and well before I started doing this. So to be on, to be in the same room or on the same stage with them, it's kind of surreal, honestly, sometimes. I've also had the opportunity to play with some people that I thought were amazing, and they turned out to kind of be assholes, but that happens. That happens, man.
It
does happen.
That money changes folks sometimes.
It does, but I've also had, I've had the pleasure of meeting and hanging out and becoming, I don't know if I would say friends, but friendly with some people that I admire a lot. Like when you saw me at Levitt Pavilion, I was playing with Charlie Tuna.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was one of the best shows last season.
Man, it was great. And he's such a nice, humble dude. There's a lot of ego in rap, so sometimes headliners don't even want to meet their openers, which is cool. I understand it.
Yeah,
if you're on tour for 50 days,
I get you.
I'm just some guy in Denver, But as soon as I got off stage at Levitt, I mean, literally the second I turned the corner to go backstage, like Charlie Tuna grabbed me and like gave me a lot of respect.
Oh, nice.
And for something like that to happen is really incredible.
And you know what, brother? It was well deserved, man.
Thank you.
When I saw you last year, we have Reason to Citizen in the studio, by the way. When I saw you last year, we got there, and a buddy of mine, he's not really into hip hop so much, but he really liked Charlie Tuna.
Yeah.
But you know, the thing was, he really dug what you did, man. We were able to kind of, you know, be able to listen to the lyrics and see how different of a hip hop artist that you are, man, as opposed to somebody that's talking about, you know, climbing through the T-tops and partying with chicks and doing lots of drugs and all that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, though, you kind of are looked at as like a real serious kind of person. You ever let loose once in a while? And, you know?
I definitely do. I definitely do. Unfortunately,
so.
I don't let it come out in my music as often as maybe I should.
Right.
But yeah, no, absolutely. You got to enjoy life. I mean, I can't just be serious and be focused on just, you know, music and playing shows and the next step all the time. You know, I have a wife and 2 kids. So, you know, a lot of what I do, I'm focused on it, but I don't let it drive where I'm going in life. You know, I'm more,
you got a nice healthy balance. What do they call that at 80-20?
Sure. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, indeed, man. Tell us a little bit about what it's like to play at Levitt Pavilion. You know, I'm a real big, huge fan of that place.
Yeah.
This year is going to be absolutely fantastic. I can't wait till they finish up the schedule. But Levitt Pavilion, for those who don't know, is out there at Ruby Hill Park, pretty much between I don't know, Jewel and Florida there. And if you don't check it out this year, you're really going to miss out on a lot of great free shows, man. And tell us a little bit about how you got into playing there and also what it's like to play there.
Sure. Yeah. So the talent buyer and the director reached out to me, actually, I want to say about a year before it was built. So they had just got the approval, and I think they had broke ground on it. And yeah, they said they were going to be doing, you know, shows of all genres. And they said, for the hip hop shows, we would love you to come out and play. And so they booked me on that, the show with Charlie Tuna and with Povey. And, man, that venue is it's amazing. I don't get to play a lot of outdoor venues for the most part.
Right.
You know, out here, summertime is Red Rock season. So
exactly.
a lot of the gigs, they go there. So most of the gigs I'm playing are like Cervantes.
Yeah, exactly. Indoor gigs, inside, you know, smaller places.
To be outdoors as the sun is going down. I mean, it's kind of surreal. It's one of those venues where I knew what it was going to be, but when I got there, I was like, whoa, okay, this is a lot better than what I imagined. And it's cool. It's cool because it's so spread out. You know, you can look everywhere, and there's just people all over the place.
And that was what stuck out to me so much, is that I guess there was either a lot of Reason the Citizen fans or a lot of Charlie Tuna fans, but there was a big crowd. For what Levitt Pavilion has to offer.
They came out, man. That was a good day.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's talk a little bit about your fan base. You know, some of the folks that come to see you or know of you and stuff like that. The folks that are watching right now, hopefully, and talk about how you kind of are garnering some traction and getting along.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, I started in Southern California. I grew up in San Diego. And I did music there for a long time. I played a lot of shows there. And San Diego is an amazing place to live, but it's not necessarily like a hip hop community. It's more surf culture. Right. You know, like if I were in a reggae band, I probably would have done a lot better than being a rapper.
If you just started a military brass band, I think you would really kick ass down there.
Yeah, probably. Seriously. And so I pretty early on in my career, I was looking for opportunities to go play other places. And so any chance that I had to go, jump on a show in a new city or hop on a tour, no matter how great or terrible it was, I took that opportunity. And so in about 2009, I came out to Denver. I played my first gig out here and instantly recognized that this is a music city. Like this, people may not know it at this point. I think they're starting to learn. But Denver is absolutely a huge music city. And I recognized it immediately. And the one show that I did out here was phenomenally better than a lot of the shows that I had done back home. So
what do you mean by that? Like well produced, or people coming out, or
people, the response, the reception that I got.
Okay.
I'd played plenty of great shows in San Diego. I don't want to downplay that by any means.
Right.
But you know, I would play a great show and then nobody would buy my album, you know, and even if I got a good response, you know, it was a different environment. And so when I came out here, like I did one show and the support was instantaneous. And this was the point where, you know, social media was really starting to pick up. And not too long after that, I kept coming back and I noticed that the number of my fan base in Denver was slowly rising up to the equivalent point of my fan base in San Diego.
Nice.
And then when I moved out here in 2013, it kicked up above that. And so, you know, I now have some fans who have been coming out to see me since that first show in 2009. So it's almost 10 years. So yeah, I mean, the fans in Colorado they're hungry for music. They're super, super supportive. They come out time and time again, even if I'm playing at the same venue 3 months later, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
familiarity is good though.
Yeah,
man.
it is. And the fan base has definitely been growing, and I'm super fortunate to have that.
Yes, indeed. And we're super fortunate to have you here in the Mile High City. It is Reason the Citizen. And hey, man, really, really great stuff, man, from you. And we really appreciate it. Like I said, I loved your show, man. Tell us a little bit about the prep that goes into some of your shows, man. I'm sure you probably, you know, think about how you dress.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
you know, just what you're going to kind of do out there and the whole deal, man.
Sure. Yeah, I typically try to get, you know, as many practice sessions in as I can. I go down to Rocket Space down there in Larimer and just go rent a room down there and get as loud as I can for an hour, you know, and I'll do that. You know, I try to get 5 or 6 good practice sessions in before each show. And when I'm there, I kind of have a little bit of a routine, you know, I kind of like amp myself out a little bit. I wander around the venue and kind of just clear my head, focus on my breathing.
It's kind of nice that you're like, I hate to say that you're not super famous, but you know, if people know you would know you, you couldn't do that. But hey, there's Reason right there.
Oh, yeah.
What's up? Give me an autograph.
Yeah. It's cool being in that like kind of, you know, middle range where you still have anonymity. That's
a little bit. Though.
Yeah.
A little bit, man. But yeah. And so like, you know, you do like a shot or something. You do like a little ritual other than that, or
I usually, you know, go, I'll find myself in an area where I can kind of just, you know, pray a little bit, you know, ask for some assistance and some guidance, you know, and then I write my set down, and I'll write the songs in the order that I'm going to do it. I'll write out like the first line of that song, and then that kind of just jogs my memory like before I go up and play. That's kind of like, that's the main thing. If I don't do those things, it throws me way the hell off every time.
And I can imagine, man. So do you have like, and I don't really remember, do you have like a setup where you have your beats in an order already? Or I mean, I'm not really sure if I even remember that there was like a, you know, because I've been to a few hip hop shows, and there's always the laptop and the table.
Right.
And I'm not sure if that was what you were doing.
So I think at Levitt, I had IZ with me. So he was DJing for me. And normally, you know, he has everything situated on his rig.
And you're good to go with it. You guys get together and you do the whole thing.
Yep.
Man.
Nice. Sometimes I play, you know, by myself when he's not available, because he gigs a lot around town too. So in that case, then I'll just play it off my laptop.
Wow. And that's tough, man. That's tough to do, especially if you don't remember. I've seen a few guys where they do oops.
Yeah. Oh, it happens. It definitely happens. Yeah.
It does, man. But I don't know. Have you ever thought of considering playing like with a live band though, or anything like that?
Yeah, I have. And actually, I was just having this conversation with my friend the other day, because I know so many talented musicians out here.
Yeah.
I was asking myself why the hell I haven't put together a dream team of musicians yet to do a live set. And I think it's something I definitely want to do in the future. I don't know if that's something that I would permanently situate, you know,
but just something for fun, maybe for one time.
Definitely,
you know?
or for a tour, or, you know, or just for a succession of shows. I think it would be super cool. I have had Josh Lee from Eldrin play violin during my set before, and I've had a live saxophone player. It's cool. I really like adding that live element, but at the same time, a lot of what I do is being me and just me up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. It's Reason the Citizen. Indeed, man. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about how he came up with that name.
Yep.
But we're going to play this song called Broken Bones. You want to break it down for us real quick? Or?
Broken Bones. So Broken Bones, this is probably my most popular song. It's one of my personal favorites. Broken Bones is just kind of an ode to getting back up, off your ass when you fall down.
All right.
That's pretty much it. You got broken bones? Well, put a cast on and get back to work.
There you go, baby. It is Reason to Citizen. This song is called Broken Bones. MileHighUnderground.com, the Freeza Block Show.
How can I look back? No, sir. My mission ain't been accomplished yet. Nobody kicking me back to the curb, although I live under that constant threat. No one on earth can stop this vet. I don't care if it ain't popular yet. Holy university for dessert. You know I've been doing work for the set that's famous. Handbook on the sound arrangements. In fact, connect is contagious. No guess for the rap we get. It ain't less than a veteran when I finesse stages. Rolling up the beat and I blaze it. Been keeping my feet on the pavement. And when the bass hits, it ain't bait switch. And my skate kicks straight sick. And my pace quicks. And I'm complex and y'all basic. When I bomb sets, you gon' pay chips to see arms stretched in my stage, bitch. Next up, and I'm on deck. All on my own with a concept. Won't pause when I roam and the world ain't home. Broken bones, I ain't gone yet, but I'm ghost. Broken bones, I ain't gone yet, but I'm ghost. Broken bones, I ain't gone yet, but I ain't gone yet. Broken bones, 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 broken bones. Broken bones and bruises on my skull. Keep my ego in control. Wear my scars, it makes me whole. My soul won't be sold. Broken bones and bruises on my skull. My ego's in control. My scars make me whole. I will not be sold. I will not be purchased. I will not be bought on my purpose. I will not be taught to drop mics. I cannot be caught without dropping verses. All on that dome piece to them bones crease. Roam in the road with a lone fleet. Comb in the beer with a soul for the weird. Cold in the mirror, no gold teeth. But I'm so rap and I'm so street. Yeah, right, you all know me. Raising the birds in the cage, little bird with occasional words for the dope beats. I don't hold back and I'm all in. I'm working all damn day, never called in. And when I go back home to work, we'll not quit, we'll not to forfeit it. We can all win, or we can all lose, or we can opt in, or we can not choose, or we can opt out, and that false truth. Draw routes around lost proof. Talk doubts about grassroots. Walk around while I'm half loose. Problem child, but that's past news, so don't act rude. The first news is also my last news, and I'm ghost. Broken bones, 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 broken bones and bruises on my skull. Keep my ego in control. Wear my scars, it makes me whole. My soul won't be sold. Broken bones and bruises on my skull. Keep my ego in control. Wear my scars, it makes me whole. My soul won't be sold. Broken bones and bruises on my skull. Keep my ego in control. Wear my scars, it makes me whole. My soul won't be sold. Broken bones and bruises on my skull. My ego's in control. My scars make me whole. I will not be sold.
Try to catch me without my applause button. Indeed. Reason to Citizen. And that was called, what was that called again?
Broken Bones.
Broken Bones, man. I like that a lot, man. And you know, like you said, you know, obviously the situation, everybody's situation's different, and it's all about how you react to that situation and how you come, back. How you come back from it.
Absolutely.
Man. Tell us a little bit about something that your career related career that that you might have had a little bit of a fallback from, and that you had to kind of come back from, if you could.
Yeah, definitely. Like I mentioned earlier, I put out a mixtape in 2009 that had a whole bunch of those terrible "Buy This Beat Now" tags on it.
Right.
Yeah. Excuse me. That was a moment in my career where I kind of decided to take a step back from what I was doing and observe what the industry was doing. and it was kind of my attempt at making something that I deemed a little more radio friendly. And to be honest, it pushed me a little bit out of my lane. It probably wasn't what I should have been doing at that particular time, but I was, I was listening to a lot of Wiz Khalifa, smoking a lot of joints and drinking champagne. And that's kind of not necessarily, it's not necessarily cohesive with creativity. And so I found myself going down that lane where my topics were very stale. It was, money.
Kind of like what we were talking about earlier,
exactly.
Partying, T-tops, girls with their tops off.
Yep. So that one kind of, when I put that out, I think it kind of, my fan base didn't really resonate with my fan base. It did earn me some new fans that maybe I would not have earned had I not done it. So it wasn't like a complete fail, but it was definitely a moment where maybe my fan base was like, where's this going? Do we want to keep listening? And so, and I felt it. I witnessed it. The feedback was not necessarily amazing.
They're like, yeah, we've kind of heard this before.
Yeah, I could listen to a million other artists that sound like this. Why you? And so I had to kind of repair that, a little bit, and get back in my lane and start doing what I do best. And as soon as I did that, it was, it brought me back to where I was.
I think a lot of people are really interested in, they like the beats and they like the music, but I think a lot of people are really interested in somebody that is, like I said, more conscious, and wants to bring about maybe some change through whatever means, especially their music or their artistry, whatever it is, man.
Absolutely. And authenticity
something a little
is
bit
key,
more,
man.
something more substantial than
definitely
than we're just partying. And
I wasn't being authentic. I really wasn't. And even if I was partying at that time, like that, it wasn't me. It wasn't a representation of who I am as a person. I wasn't giving my fan base Reason the Citizen. I was giving them everything else that they already have.
Right. There you go.
And so I kind of
almost
lost my integrity a little bit. I lost my integrity and my authenticity. It didn't take me long to realize that had happened. And immediately I was like, okay, let's not do that again.
Nice. Let's talk a little bit about your flow, man. Your style, man. The way you rap, man. Does it come from just yourself, or do you somewhat emulate, or I guess kind of try to take after somebody, or is it just completely authentic?
Yeah, I definitely have some influences in where my style is right now. I think content wise, I've still tried to remain authentic to what I am, but stylistically, probably about in the early days when I really started getting into hip hop. I was really influenced by an artist named A$AP Rock. I'm sure you're familiar with A$AP Rock. If not, you should be. And he had a really unique style that I really liked, and I bit the hell out of it when I was real young. It is not a good look. But he had a song called Big Bang where he rapped really fast during the hook. And I sat there and listened to it over and over and over again, trying to dissect what he said so like I could recite it.
Right.
And I just realized like, okay, there's something to this sound that I like. And then artists like Tech Nine or like Yellow Wolf, they were doing the really fast double time flow. And so I didn't really do that in my first couple albums. I touched on it a little bit, but I hadn't quite really perfected the skill yet. And probably around 2010 is when I really started writing like that. So a lot of what I write now is it's very quick. There's a lot of words, a lot of syllables. To me, it's challenging. It's like putting a puzzle together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's kind of where I'm at, like stylistically right now.
Awesome, man. Good stuff. We have Reason the Citizen. He is here in the studio in the Freeza Block. And by the way, he's going to be playing at the Westward Music Showcase. To be determined where it's going to be, but he'll be out there. So make sure to check it out. It should be a really cool venue. It always is when it comes to the Westward Music Showcase.
Yep.
How does it feel being picked to go? There's a lot of guys that throw their stuff at him.
It feels really good. The first show that I played out here when I moved to Denver, I featured on my friend's set on the Westward Music Showcase. And that feature actually got me introduced it introduced me to a lot of important people in Denver. Because at an event like that, all the movers and shakers are there.
Yeah.
You know, the important people in the industry, you know, all the writers. And so that was big for me in the beginning, having just moved here and not having a ton of connections. And
By the way, those are all the people that are listening and
all
watching.
Of them. Yeah. And so, yeah, I've been nominated for a Westward Music Award a couple times in the past. But I don't know that I really had the local traction to kind of, you know, for them to go, okay, well, this guy's nominated, we should book him too. I think there were a couple show promoters around town who were like, hey, you should put Reason on this list.
There's a reason for Reason to sit.
Yeah, and so getting booked on it this year, I was surprised. Actually, I hadn't even realized that the list had come out. And one of my friends who does a podcast, Sean Cobbs, who does Behind the Scene podcast.
Yeah, he kills this one, man. By the way.
Yeah, he's the homie, man, and he actually saw me. He actually saw me at the first Westward Music Showcase.
Okay,
and that's how I ended up doing his podcast.
There you go.
And so I didn't even know that I had been nominated or anything. I mean, I'm just sometimes I'm in my own world. I don't pay attention.
I hear you there.
And so he tagged me on Facebook, was like, hey, congratulations, this and that. And I was like, wait, what?
Congratulations for what?
Yeah, and I looked at it. I was like, oh, cool, I got nominated. And then a couple days later, I got the email from Westward. And yeah, I mean, I'm super excited. I haven't the last one I did was in 2013. I did one song just as a feature, like guest feature on my friend's set. And so yeah, to have a whole set this year and to have, you know, my name on the flyer and everything, it's rad.
Nice, badass, man. Reason the Citizen in the studio, and we've kind of danced around it. So let's get through this, man. Let's talk about what Reason the Citizen is, why you picked that kind of a name, and all that.
Short story. I was super high when I put it all together. Long story. Long story. I was high throughout a very long period of time as I put it together. So I talked about being on the speech team when I was in high school. That was like the beginning of me starting to rap and making music and everything.
Right.
And a couple of my buddies that were on the speech team, they did an event. They did a duo event, so it was two people, and they did a Mel Brooks piece called "The Bible," where it's like a parody of just the Bible and Christianity.
Yeah.
Super, super funny. And in the beginning, they're kind of miming the whole, you know, and God said, let there be light, that whole thing. And I watched these guys do this speech over and over and over and over and over again throughout the course of a year. So I watched them practice it. I watched them perform it. I watched them compete doing it. And there was one line in there where they were tied. It was supposed to be the voice of God. He's like, I give unto thee the power of think, reason, and imagine. And I don't know why, but for some reason, that particular line, whenever I heard it, just stood out to me. And the word reason just stood out to me. And so when I decided I was really going to do this and I needed to pick a name, because for a while I was just messing around, kind of just, you know, freestyling at house parties or on the bus or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so when I decided, you know, hey, I want to do this, that word reason just stood out to me. And I just stuck. Huh? I just knew. Yeah, I said, that's going to be it. That's going to be it. And I've always pride myself on the ability to be reasonable and to have a reason to do things. I don't ever like just doing something for nothing. I need a reason to move forward. So that was the reason portion of it. And I went by just Reason for a really long time until MySpace created music profiles that you could start putting your music on.
But do you miss that MySpace or what?
You know what?
I miss it, man.
I do miss it. And I think it doesn't get the credit it deserves for launching the internet music era, because it really did. I remember the first time that my buddy was like, hey, are you on MySpace? I was like, hell no, I'm not on. Why would I be on right. MySpace? I'm not a 14-year-old girl, you know? And then he goes, well, you can put your music up there. Like, you can have a music profile. Right. And I was like, no, you can't. He's look, and he showed me, and he had like 100,000 plays on MySpace. I was like, 100,000 people listen to your music? He's like, yeah, you need to get on here immediately. Well, I got on just a little bit too late because myspace.com/reason was taken. And so immediately I'm like, oh, well, what the hell am I going to do here? So I searched in MySpace, just searched in the music profiles, Reason. and I found probably 300 different rappers who were just going by Reason.
Wow.
And so at that point, I had already been making music for like 5 or 6 years, and I'd already been playing a ton of shows in my hometown. I had established myself.
Had you been going under your own name?
I've been going by Reason. Just
okay,
that
just
whole
Reason.
time.
Okay.
Yep. And so that's what a lot of people call me. A lot of people just call me Reason. So I had kind of already established that.
Surprised they don't call you R, as lazy as everybody is.
Right? At that point, I kind of already established my identity, but I knew that the internet and music on the internet was going to be a big thing. And I knew that it was going to be a big opportunity for me to push my music out there. But if there's 300 artists with the same name, then I need to differentiate myself from those other artists. And so I started thinking of ways that I could change it without changing it. And I had a bunch of different ones that I was going to be Reason the whatever. I had a whole bunch of different ones that were just terrible, sounded bad.
Reason the Cowboy.
Yeah, they were not good. They were not good. As Reason the Manic Street Preacher at one point. I was like, no one's going to ever remember that. And eventually I just, I was trying to think of words that kind of were bold and had a powerful meaning to it. And I think at the time I had just become like an adult. And I was really feeling like, okay, like this is what I am. I'm a citizen in this country, and that's just kind of it, And so I just one day said, Reason the Citizen, and it sounded good, and I liked it, so I rolled with it, and it kind of it could kind of be like a couple different things. It could be Reason the Citizen, or you could be like, you can reason the citizen, right? So it was almost like it was a name, but it could kind of be like a sentence at the same time. It could kind of be like a statement. And so, yeah, pretty much 2005 when I joined MySpace, that was the name I chose, and it's been there ever since. It's incredibly long. It's one letter too long for a Twitter handle, but it's too late to change it now. So
nice, man. Again, Reason the Citizen in the studio, and I took it as a statement. When you first see it, and well, the thing is, you got to couple it with the music. We got to couple it with what you're talking about, what you're trying to bring across. The whole. We're embattled, but, we're too worn out and we're too distracted to do anything about, the ills of the world. But we try, man. We try our best. Yep. And that's what that means to me, Reason the Citizen. Somebody crying out, how come we aren't reasonable?
Right.
Why is everything have to be based on the dollar bill?
Yeah.
It's just how it is.
Yeah, and that's why I think the name works for me, too, because it can be interpretive, too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Reason the Citizen. Make sure to check out the Westward Music Showcase to find out when he's going to play and where he's going to be playing, and all that good stuff. And he's also he's on the heels. He's got the ears, the guys at the Levitt Pavilion. So I think he might be coming out there this summer as well. Let's hope so, man. It was great last year. Should be great this year. Yes. We got one more song here. It's called Unsung Narrative, featuring Sean Anonymous. Let's talk a little bit about Sean Anonymous and how you met up with him and who he is. And all that good stuff.
Actually a great story. So I'd already had a fan base by the time I moved out here, and I did have some friends out here. My main connection moved away out of Colorado like 2 weeks before I moved here. And that was kind of like I was hoping he was going to help introduce me to some people. And
that's weird.
Get the ball rolling a little bit. Yeah. And so he left town immediately, and I was just kind of like, all right, well, here we go. I have to figure out how to do this on my own. So let's get in touch with everybody I know. Let's try and book shows. And I got booked at Herman's Hideaway to open for an artist named Mike McLawn from Doomtree, also from Minneapolis. And I went and I played that show. It wasn't the greatest show, but I had just moved here. I was taking whatever I could get. And one of the opening artists who was on that tour was Sean Anonymous, and stylistically we're kind of similar. And so I watched his set, and it resonated with me. I was like, okay, I should go introduce myself. And I made friends with him. I made friends with his DJ. And then we kind of stayed in touch online, reconnected on Vans Warped Tour the following year. And then, he's come out here to play a bunch of shows in Denver. He's had me come out to Minneapolis and play at First Avenue out there. Nice. And so, yeah, we just became friends over the last 5 years. And I don't really work with a ton of other artists. But when I was doing my album, this song in particular, I could just hear him on it. So I sent it to him.
Hey, that's the way it works sometimes. No doubt about it. It is Unsung Narrative. We have Reason the Citizen in the studio. Again, this is featuring Sean Anonymous, Unsung Narrative, right here on the Freeza Block Show, MileHighUnderground.com.
Unsung narrative, young, dumb American, arrogant, throwing fits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting a fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us, and y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Try to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defiant, cannot describe it. Used to describe it as a young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded at every bar, even though my bar's been the hardest. The scars on my face, and I ain't always been the smartest, but I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my...
The type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people. I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm liking to Mike Tyson. I'm a bison, a beast. I'm hot like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old, out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yeah, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant, tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retro fit. I guess all lit, I guess all bitch. Now let's go.
I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. You can hear it through these hard tracks. You can hear it through these smart raps. I can show you where my heart's at. Show you where my heart's at. Show you where my heart's at. You can hear it through these hard tracks. You can hear it through these smart raps. I can show you where my heart's at. Show you where my heart's at. Show you where my heart's at.
Yes, indeed. Great, great stuff. Reason the Citizen. And
Sir.
man, that song was badass, man.
Thank
I love the music on that, man.
Thank
Who did
That's
the
Handbook.
beats?
That's Handbook from the
Handbook.
UK. Yep.
Nice, good stuff,
Yep.
man. And I'm sure when you got that, you were like, "Oh, this is fire!
Oh,
I got to
yeah.
create
Oh,
on
yeah.
this right away." Huh?
Yep. Yeah, actually, I had a second verse on it at first too, and I didn't like it. So I just said, you know what? I'm sending this to Sean.
And he what did it like? Sometimes, like when you send stuff out like that, hit this or that, do you?
Yeah.
Sometimes, what happens when you get like some negative reaction? Like, dude, this is not what or have you?
Yeah, I mean, of course, you know, sometimes you send a track to someone and they're like, man, this doesn't really fit me, or I don't really want to do this song. I mean, it is what it is. You can't force creativity on someone else. So I don't really get offended by that if it does happen. And it's happened to me too. Sometimes people will send me tracks that, that they want me on,
Right.
and I'll get it. I'm just like, cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. You want to work with me, but this doesn't really fit me.
That's not the deal. Yeah. Well, hey, that's the way it goes sometimes,
Yep.
man. It's Reason the Citizen in the studio. And man, I was talking during the song. I'm like, I can't believe you guys, you know, and this town in particular, and I talk about this quite a bit, man, is that you don't get any radio play, you don't get any mainstream action.
Yeah.
It's hard for you to get traction anywhere else, but probably locally, is it not?
Yeah. I mean, you know, radio's tough in general, and there's a lot of reasons why, you know. A lot of the songs that I have, you know, I don't necessarily have sample clearance on everything, you know, so sometimes that might be an issue. I don't curse a lot on my songs, but sometimes, you know, I might not have a radio edit of the right song. And then it's just, you know, it's just not always easy to get the right people to hear your music. So
true. And, you know, and a lot of radio stations, well, all of the radio stations are corporately driven. And what you're talking about is anti-corporate style, you know, music. And of course, you know, if you're going against the grain, you know, they're going to say, well, if it doesn't make sense, it's not going to make dollars.
Yeah, definitely. You know, maybe one day I'll make a song that makes sense for it. So.
Yeah, there you go, man. Maybe you should just do a satirical piece, you know,
right.
Going the other way, man, and seeing what happens.
Definitely.
And, you know, hey, you never know, man. It's Reason the Citizen. Make sure to check him out. Westward Music Showcase. He's going to be out there in a couple months when they get that thing going and they get the schedule written down and everything good to go, man, and all that stuff, man. Great stuff, man. Reason the Citizen. I noticed you do a lot of. Do you do a lot of acapella stuff? You know, when you do a live set or anything at all, acapella, or does it always have a big beat to it?
So I did an acapella once and got booed really badly, and so ever since then I've kind of steered clear from it.
Yeah.
I want it to be as loud and in your face as possible. So I try and make sure that my live set has, you know, my most aggressive beats.
Nice. Well, hey, man, that's how it is, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, who actually do you have a lot of help when it comes to doing live shows and stuff, or is it just you and your DJ, and is it like the same guy every time, or do you have, you know, do you have like a set live DJ, or do you have like, you know, kind of a group of guys that you could pick from?
Most of the time I just work with my DJ, Almighty IZ. And if he's not available, I'll usually just do it on my own. I had my buddy Rooks from Fort Collins, who's another great artist, come out and do a guest DJ for me when I played with Lupe Fiasco at the Gothic in December. So, I mean, I have options, but, you know, it's kind of part of my thing to just roll with me. And so most of what I'm doing with shows is 100% me.
Yep. Yeah. And speaking of 100% you, let's talk about your look, man.
Yeah.
You got the big beard and the hat and the glasses, dude.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and then even on your latest CD, which I don't have with me now, it's like kind of a watercolor picture of you, but it's definitely your image.
Yes.
And let's talk about your branding.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I haven't always worn glasses, and I obviously haven't always had the beard. But I want to say probably around maybe 2011, 2012, my vision got bad and I just needed glasses. And
you opted out on the LASIK surgery.
Yeah, I just went straight black frame glasses. And I liked the look with the beard. I grew the beard out longer. And you know, the first big show that I did in Denver was with Nas at Cervantes. And I remember I got off stage and a couple dudes just kind of like cornered me and were like, man, that was a great set, this and that. And one guy was like, I love the beard and the glasses.
Yeah, the look is good.
He was like, it's iconic. And I remember, and I just, that stood out that, you know, no one ever told me anything I did was iconic, you know? And so I realized, okay, this is definitely like my look. And it helps because it makes me recognizable. It's hard for you to, like, if you see me on stage and then you see me in the crowd, you're going to know it's the same person.
That's right.
Yeah. It's a defined look that I maintain.
That's right. Good deal. And it looks good, man. And it suits you well, man. Indeed, man. Reason the Citizen in the studio, man. We've just about wrapped this sucker right on up, man. I really appreciate you coming on in, man.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to play One Human one more time as we break on out, man. I'm going to just go ahead and hit your social medias and all your good stuff. And, well, let's do it right now. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for joining us. It was the Freeza Block Show. Thanks again for Reason the Citizen for coming on in, man. Check them out. One Westward Music Showcase. When they get it checked out, they'll check it out when they get it worked out, man. And again, man, check them out on social media and all that good stuff, man. Reason the Citizen, thank you again so much for coming on in, brother.
Stupid. I know my soul and it won't be sold for no price, no diamonds, no gold, no gambling. I ain't rolling no dice. I'm precise in my life. In a nutshell, isn't that tight? But I work with what I got. Humble as how I sleep at night. See, I ain't racing for the paper. I'm pacing for the respect. Chasing what I believe in while you stay chasing that paycheck. Beats bang and they break necks. Mission Ollie, impossible. Chief Chang and I drank, yes. And I mean to rub it in like a topical. I could easily overcome any obstacle. I could reap in the benefits of a tropical environment. Call a fireman for the flame I lit. Cause at the moment I'm feeling unstoppable. Living up on the hill with the capital. While the rhythm I'm killing is so admirable. Built buzz but did it with no capital. No veterans saluting me like an admiral. I ain't beautiful but you know what I'm tactical. Nothing is impossible, I'm impassable. Disaster mode, you can say I smashed the mold. And got them looking to be crooked like a bad result. Now let's go. One thought for the open-minded, lost my soul, but I hope I find it. One shot for the hopeless, blinded by the favorite in blood and signed it. One thought for the open-minded, lost my soul, but I hope I find it. One shot for the hopeless, blinded by the favorite in blood. Yeah, you cannot get the soul back. Don't touch it if it's hot, you should know that. In particular, when I fall